Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. Welcome to my monthly video on the best games coming to retail. This is August 2024. First of all, I hope everybody had a great Gen Con. If you went to Gen Con, I hope it was an amazing experience and you left with a bunch of games that you wanted. If you don't know what Gen Con is, it is the largest board game, tabletop convention in North America, has about 80,000 people. And because of Gen Con being right at the beginning of August, it makes August and September the biggest months of the year for retail releases of board games. There are a lot of games that debut at Gen Con and then they hit retail options later in the month of August or in the month of September. So, you know, this month I always go through about 25 games that are hitting retail every month, and you know, I keep it to about 25 because that's a manageable video for everybody to watch. But so this month I will have about 25 games here, but I will note there are over 40 other games that I have confirmed with publishers that are hitting retail in August. And I'm sorry to all the games that aren't making this video. I just can't do everything. That video would be 4 hours long, and I don't think anybody wants that. And two, if you are interested in knowing about those 40 or something other games that are coming to retail this month, that is a perk on my Patreon. So you can check out my Patreon, patreon.com/GrantsGameRex, and I'll let you know about all of the other games that are hitting retail this month. So with that said, thank you so much for being here. We got a bunch of really great games. It's a big month. It's a big month to say the least, and I hope you find something here that you're excited about. First up this month, Allplay is releasing the game River Valley Glassworks. River Valley Glassworks plays 1 to 5 players. It is a lightweight game, but a lightweight strategy game, not a party game. It is a strategy game, but a lightweight strategy game that plays in, 20 to 30 minutes. It kind of feels like in the same world as like an Azul or a Sagrada, where it's abstract, but there's kind of a theme on it. It's pretty, it looks good on the table, and it's, easy to teach and learn and play with about anybody. And it has a real puzzly feel to it. One of the coolest things about River Valley Glassworks, in the game, you will be drafting these glass pieces from tiles in the river. And when you draft from a tile, that tile will get up and move to the back of the river. And so it really does feel like a river flowing. It's just kind of a neat gimmick, but it's fun to do it, where the tiles are moving to the back and the river is flowing. You are taking these glass pieces from the river, and the way you draft depends on the shape of the glass piece that you put down, but then when you add them to your board, now the color matters. So that's an interesting push and pull where shape matters for one part of the game, color matters for the other part of the game. You are placing them in rows and columns in your own personal board and then scoring points for completing rows, for getting the highest columns, that sort of stuff. So, it's a pretty quick playing light game, but it's got fun, interesting, puzzly choices. Where do you put stuff? What do you draft from the river? There are multiple versions of it. There's a retail version that is just regular components, and then there are sort of deluxe versions where you have acrylic glass pieces instead of river pieces. You have acrylic river pieces instead of the cardboard pieces. A lot of different upgrades there. Next up this month, BA Games is releasing Forges of Ravenshire. Forges of Ravenshire plays 1 to 4 players in 50 to 100 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. It is a dice placement engine building game, and I've been looking forward to this one for a while. I had a chance to do a demo of it, not a full game, but a demo at a convention a year ago or something like that, and I've been excited for it ever since. Because it is a dice placement game where you are doing the thing that they do in some Garfield games and other things, where you place a worker and then pick up a worker and get the benefit of both of those spots. But your workers are dice in this game, and so then you are going to take the dice and put them on your own personal player board where there's an engine building aspect to your player board. And one of the things that's cool is that in your player board, the sort of pip value of the dice matters for part of it, and the color of it matters for the other part of it. So then, yeah, there's that push and pull again of like, do I care about the number more or the color of the die? And then you're firing off columns and activating specific parts in your forge to, there's the engine building aspect of it where you're activating different abilities and trying to, complete the efficiency puzzle to win the game that is Forges of Ravenshire. Board and Dice is releasing the game Reef Project. This plays 1 to 4 players, 45 to 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. Board and Dice is known, I think, largely for their heavier weight games, games like Nucleum, Teletum, things like that. Well, I'm excited that they're doing a little bit more in the realm of medium weight games at this point because I'm a medium weight gamer, and so personally I'm excited that they're doing some of these medium weight games. Reef Project, thematically, you are moving around a board to save and restore coral reef all over the oceans. So, an important theme, which I like that they're doing that sort of stuff. There's a couple things about the game that caught my eye as well. Most games, you get these end game scoring objective cards right at the beginning of the game. You get 2 and you keep 1, and you're like, I don't know which one to keep. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm going for right now. Well, Reef Project does this thing where halfway through the game, you get endgame scoring cards and get to choose between the ones you get. Hey, what a great idea that I've never seen done before. Yeah, halfway through the game, now I know what I'm doing. Now I know what I'm going for. Now I know what I can possibly achieve. Especially the first time you're playing a game, you're like, I gotta pick this now? I don't even know what this means. And now, you get to pick it when you know what it means. And I think that's a really cool thing. You are also placing buoys down on the board. There are these roots between all these spots on the board, and when you place a buoy, it makes it free for you to travel along that route, but it also makes it less expensive for anybody else to place a buoy on that path as well. So I think that's an interesting strategic decision point in the game. So if you want a medium weight game with a good theme about saving coral reef, then check out Reef Project. Brotherwise Games is releasing the game Adulthood. Adulthood plays 1 to 4 players in about 45 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. This is almost like the sort of gamer version or the modern version of the game Life, right? I think a lot of us played the game Life when we were kids, and, it is wildly luck-based, where you're just sort of flipping over cards and rolling dice. And, I played it with my niece not that long ago, and I was like, oh, I'm going to play this with you and put on a smile, but boy, do I want to show you a different game than this one right now. I could, this is the one you want to play? Okay. I blame my brother, right, for giving her that game. I could have given you so many suggestions, bro. But in Adulthood, each turn, players have to choose how to spend their time, energy, and money to maximize their personal happiness and positive impact. That is the goal of the game. You are just trying to have a happy life and make the world a better place, which, seems like a pretty good goal for life, I feel like in the old game Life, you were like, I'm just trying to get money. And this one's like, no, hey, maybe be a good person, maybe you can be a good person. But, you're using resources like time and energy and money to achieve those things, and you're going to be doing the stuff that we all do in life. You're going to be choosing a career, you're going to be seeking out experiences, you're going to be finding a partner, all that stuff. You got to spend time on wellness. You got to spend time on wellness, Grant. I don't do enough of that. I need to spend time on wellness. I need to get a massage. I'd love a massage. I've got a massage gift certificate for like 2 years and I just haven't scheduled it. I got wellness grant. Play Adulthood, schedule a massage. Capstone Games is releasing the game Pagan, the Fate of Roanoke. This is a 2-player only game, plays in 30 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. It is an asymmetric game in the sense that one player is playing as the witch and one player is playing as a witch hunter, and they both have not only different, end game goals and ways to win the game, but they play differently throughout the game. As the witch, your objective is to collect enough secrets to perform a ritual so potent that the entire region will fall under your spell and Mother Nature will reclaim the island. But as the hunter, you gather all the allies and support you can muster to bring the witch to justice before her fatal ritual comes to fruition. So, you gotta, what do you want to be? I mean, that's one of the fun things about an asymmetric game like this is there's some good replayability because you can play both different roles and see how they work differently. I like that there are cool different 2-player asymmetric games like this now. And I like the theme of it, the Fate of Roanoke. That's the colonial America, 1587. That's the setting for this game. So, yeah, check it out from Capstone Games. Devere Games is releasing the game Cities. This plays 2 to 4 players in about 30 minutes, and it is I would call it a higher end of the lightweight game. Cities is a worker placement game, but it's a really good introduction to worker placement games. It's a worker placement game. I've actually played this one a lot, and it's a great game, and it plays quickly, and it is a worker placement game with strategic stuff where you are going out on the board getting things and trying to build out your grid and stuff like that. But it's, as I mentioned, plays quick, and it's pretty easy to learn. So if I wanted to introduce somebody to the mechanism of worker placement, this is a game I would consider doing that with for sure. One of the interesting, unique aspects of the game compared to other worker placement games is there are essentially 4 rows on the board, and every round of the game you're going to place a worker in each row. You can never place 2 workers in one same row, and so it's the timing of which one of these do I really need? I'm gonna go to that row first, and then there's gonna be a row where I'm just gonna get left with I'm just gonna be stuck with whatever's left, because we're all going to take all the stuff there. And it's a little bit like King Domino, where you are building out your city grid, you're putting tiles down to build out your city, and then you're placing buildings on that, you're placing tokens on that, and you're getting scoring cards that will score you in a ton of different ways. There are a bunch of different scoring cards in the game, and that's one of the places you're going to go to sort of put your worker down to get scoring cards that are going to work for you well. So yeah, if you like lighter worker placement games, Cities is a really fun one. Devere Games is also releasing Rock Hard 1977. This plays 2 to 5 players in 45 to 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. I've also had a chance to play this one, and I really like it. It is certainly theme forward, so it's got the really cool rock and roll 1970s vibe to it. The game was actually designed by Jackie Fox, who was a member of the Runaways, the famous all-girl punk band from the 70s. And so, that you can feel that life experience in the game, right? It is definitely a theme-forward game where you're doing all the stuff to make yourself a successful musician. You're hiring a publicist, you're doing gigs, you're trying to hang out at after-hour spots and get noticed. You're donating blood to make some money so that you can make a demo tape. You're doing all of this sort of stuff. It is a worker placement game at its core, and I don't feel like any of the stuff in the game, it's not like wildly different or whatever for a worker placement game. It really is about that theme and how that theme connects to the mechanisms in the game, and it does that really well. And I like the theme, and so that's definitely the reason to play this, I think. And it is a solid worker placement game as well. But the theme is what sets it apart from other worker placement games out there for sure. Dolphin Hat Games is releasing the small card game Moose Match Mayhem. 3 to 6 players, plays in about 15 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. Dolphin Hat Games is famous for the game Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza. This is the same size box as Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza, and they've released a bunch of versions of Taco Cat and stuff like that. This is not the same game. This is not in that line. This is a different game, but, you know, shares some of the same sort of lightweight card game, fun, big moments DNA that Taco Cat does as well. So in Moose Match Mayhem, you will all be drawing a card and putting it in your palm face down, so you don't know what card you have. Then everybody chants Moose Match Mayhem, put your card on the table, and now we're all trying to grab whichever card we want. You could grab the card in front of you, you could grab the card in front of any other player, and it's a set collection game at its core. You are trying to get sets of 3 different things that match. But there's also cards that are going to be put down that are going to mess with you, right? Yetis are going to get rid of your matches. Avalanches are going to be bad if you're the first person to touch a card. That sort of stuff. You know, these, like Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza, I think Moose Match Mayhem is really going to work for families with kids and stuff like that. It's got a lot of energy, right? You're slapping, you're yelling, you're chanting. Moose Match Mayhem. They say it plays age 7 and up. So if you want a little lightweight card game with some fun energy to it, check out Moose Match Mayhem. Speaking of games with some energy to them, Exploding Kittens is releasing the game Let's Hit Each Other with Fake Swords. The game is about hitting each other with fake swords. Yep, you pretty much get what the game is by the name Let's Hit Each Other with Fake Swords, you know? It plays 3 to 6 players in about 15 minutes, and it is a lightweight party game. The game literally comes with 2 big sort of fake foam swords, and in the game, there are going to be cards in piles on the table, and all of those are going to be action cards, but you are also trying to get specific action cards to do set collection. If you can get a certain amount of sets, you're going to win the game. And so on the count of 3, we're all going to point to the pile that we want. However, if multiple people point towards the same pile, they got to duel with swords, okay? You got to have a sword fight here and to determine who gets the cards. But one of the interesting things is the cards that you're dueling over are action cards, and you're going to have to do those actions in order to do the duel. So maybe it's like you got to stand on one leg while you duel, and so they're now trying to balance while you hit each other. And there's a bunch of different types of cards that you could do that are going to put restrictions. You got to put an arm behind your back. You got to spin in a circle and then duel, all this sort of stuff. So it is definitely a big physical game. It is a stand up from the table and have a sword fight type of game, which you might have expected with the name Let's Hit Each Other with Fake Swords. So good thing they threw the word fake in there. Flat River Group, in association with Barrel Aged Games, is releasing the game Fruitoplay. I actually put this on my top 10 card games of 2023 list, but it wasn't actually available in North America yet. I got it from a French publisher and really liked the game, but now it's available in North America. If you didn't know, this video is for North American retail releases. That's what I focus on here because I live in North America and those are the relationships I have with publishers. So Fruitoplay is now going to be available here in North America, so that's exciting. Plays 2 to 6 players in 20 minutes, and it is a lightweight card game. It is a trick-taking game at its core, but it's doing trick-taking in an interesting and unique way. There's going to be a set of 7 cards in the middle of the table, and only the top card on that sort of deck of the 7 cards is the card we're all vying for right then. When the only way to get that card, the way to win the trick, is play a card that is closest in number to whatever there, that is on suit. So if we have a 10 apple, well, if I play a 12 apple, that's going to be closer than you playing the 4 apple. I'm going to win the whole trick and get all the cards. But it's not always good to win a trick, because at the end of the round, you are going to times your largest stack by your smallest stack. And so, if I've got 6 apple cards and 1 banana, I scored 6 points. But if I've got 6 apple cards and 5 strawberries, boom, I just got 30 points. And so, there's other times where you are trying to lose a trick but stick them with a card that they don't want. I'm trying to give you that 1 banana, that sort of stuff. There's certainly a lot of luck in the game based on the cards you draw and the cards that are in the middle and stuff like that. But it's a fun tactical, how to figure out how to lose the right times and win the right times and stick people with other stuff. As a quick playing card game, it's one that I like a lot out there. So that's Fruitoplay. Flat River Group, in association with Devious Weasel Games, is releasing Murray the A-Hole Frog. And this is a game I will play because of the name. I don't even care what it's about. Murray the A-Hole Frog is one of the funniest names of any game I've ever seen out there. And, when Flat River Group was like, hey, do you want to check out any of these games? And then they gave me a list, and I was like, oh, Murray the A-Hole Frog, obviously. Obviously I want to check. Do you even have to ask, do you know me here? Of course I want to check out Murray the A-Hole Frog. I don't care what it's about. I want to check it out. It plays 3 to 6 players in 30 to 45 minutes, and it is a lightweight card game. It is a take that card game. So you definitely have to be okay with some take that and with some meanness in your game. And so what you're doing in the game, it's another set collection game where you are trying to create swarms of insects, and a swarm means a set of insects. But when you draw a Murray card, you can put it on somebody else's incomplete set, and Murray will eat their set. And so you have to be like, no, I'm not being mean. Murray's an a-hole. He's doing it. I'm not doing it. Murray's doing it. You get mad at Murray, don't get mad at Grant. And so you're just playing Murray's out there messing up everybody's sets because he's an a-hole. You're such a jerk, Murray. Oh, these frogs being jerks all over the place. So yeah, again, obviously a tongue-in-cheek theme and stuff like that for it, and just a fun, lightweight card game. Again, plays, in 30 minutes, and a set collection with Murray messing things up for everybody. Flat River Group, in association with Fateforge, is releasing the game Far Cry Escape from Rook Islands. This plays 1 to 4 players in 90 to 2,700 minutes. Essentially, there's a bunch of scenarios, so I imagine one scenario is about 90 minutes, and all of them put together is probably that 2,700 minutes. I haven't eaten in forever. I gotta get through this game. It's been 2,200 minutes. No, you don't have to do that. You can play it whatever you want. It is a medium weight game, and it is based on the Far Cry video games. There have been a number of Far Cry video games, and as far as I know, this is the first Far Cry tabletop game, board game at least. And so there are 8 different campaign missions to play in the game. You are going to be exploring the stories of Rook Island through the game. There's a solo version of it, but the main version is cooperative. It is a cooperative sort of survival type of game, and you're going to be completing objectives, and you're going to be like leveling up your character. You're going to be getting different weapons and different stuff like that to make yourself stronger for the next scenario. You can level up with potions and weapons and all, and different stuff in your inventory, and you need to do that in order to overcome the challenges that are going to get harder and harder throughout the game. So if you like tactical combat, if you like survival cooperative games, that sort of stuff, or if you like the Far Cry universe, if you're a fan of the different video games and stuff like that, then this is probably one for you. I have never played the video games, but I know people love them. I know they are very popular video games, and so I imagine this board game is going to be popular too, with some people that want Far Cry as a social experience and not a video game. That's probably unfair of me to say about video games. I guess you can be social with other people online, and you could invite someone over to play it with you too. I just think board games are better, and so my bias came through right there. Okay, moving on. Flat River Group, in association with Greater Than Games, is releasing the game Compile Main 1. And part of the reason it's called Main 1 is it seems like they will be releasing more content for the game at some point, but this is what it's launching with right now. It is a 2-player only game, plays in about 30 minutes, and it is a medium weight game, but definitely on the lighter end of that medium weight, maybe even on the high end of lighter weight. But in the game Compile, you are, it's a little bit like, punk rock, hacker, Air, Land, and Sea. If you've ever played the 2-player game Air, Land, and Sea, you're essentially fighting over 3 different areas, air, land, and sea, and you're doing it by playing cards down that have special abilities and strength values and stuff like that. So that takes that sort of core concept. You are fighting over 3 different things. You're going to be playing cards down that have, strength values and special abilities. All that is similar. But where the main part of the game gets different is you don't just have like a deck of cards. You are drafting factions at the beginning of the game. You are going to have like 3 different factions, and those factions are going to be good at different things. They're going to lean into certain like special abilities and play styles and stuff like that. And so you're going to be drafting those and building your deck with sort of these different factions, and then using those decks to try to win the game and control 3 different areas. And so that's where I say, there will probably be more content in the future, because they will add more factions and more decks to the game. And so thematically, you're playing as artificial intelligences that are, fighting for control of this stuff. So. But yeah, it's interesting drafting, interesting learning the different play styles of the different factions, stuff like that. Inside Up Games is releasing the game Terminus to retail this month. Terminus is a 2 to 5 player game, plays in 90 to 180 minutes, and it is a heavyweight game. If you like root building games, if you like, resource management games, Terminus is all of those things. It is one of those games. The central sort of aspect of the game is there's a rondel. You'll be moving around the rondel and getting actions from that, and then building a sort of subway system out on the shared board, and people will be cutting each other off and, claiming control of different way stations, points on the board and stuff like that. It is one of those games that is really tight, right? Like, you're always like, if I had one more cube, I could do this. If I had one more of this, I could do everything I wanted. But you'll never be able to do everything that you want. And so, if you like those efficiency puzzles, if you like that tight resource management, then you will probably like Terminus. You will be in the game. You're going to be purchasing developments, upgrades, materials. You're going to be getting projects and agendas. You're going to be building stops and rails for the subway lines, all of that sort of stuff. And whoever has the most points at the end wins, just like a normal game. You're trying to get points. So yeah, if you want a heavyweight game, check out Terminus. Cosmos is releasing the game Nunatak, Temple of Ice. This plays 2 to 4 players in 30 to 45 minutes, and it is a lightweight game, but on the higher end of lightweight in a strategy game. It is certainly got great table presence. You are going to be building this pyramid out on the board, and it is very stable and stuff, so if you're concerned by that, I got to demo this one, and I was impressed with that, the component quality and how stable the sort of the 3-dimensionality of the pyramid is in the game. But you are drafting a card, taking a card, and then putting one of your pieces on a tile that matches that card type. And when there are 4 people around an area, you can put a new tile on the top of it, and that's how you get the layers to the pyramid. And when somebody creates a new foursome to put a tile down, you're going to score points for being the person that completes that area, for having the majority of the pieces of your color in that area. It's a bit of a point salad game. You're going to get points in a lot of different ways. And then the cards that you are using, the cards that you're using to place on specific parts of the board, those are all going to score you points in different ways. Brown cards are going to score you this way, and purple cards are going to score you this way, and all of them have different scoring aspects, different scoring styles to them. So that's something that you're keeping in mind while you're playing the game. Do I want more of these? Do I want more of these types of cards? There's that push and pull of like, I want this card because I want to place there, but I don't really need that card for the end game scoring, and so what am I going to do here? If you want a game that has like a really fun table presence, but is still decently easy to teach to new gamers or that sort of stuff, they say it plays age 10 and up, so it's certainly a family weight game. I think Nunatak is good for all those reasons. Lucky Duck Games, in association with Tangerine Games, is releasing the game Nestlings. This plays 1 to 4 players in 30 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. Nestlings is a dice placement area control game at its core. You are going to be rolling dice and then using them to place in different biomes on the board. And then there are resources available at each of those biomes. And if you have the most control of that biome, you get to draft a resource first. How do you have control of the biome? Well, either you're the first one placing your die there, or you've placed more die than anybody else in that biome. One of the interesting things about having the first priority, you don't just get to pick the thing you want, you also get to burn one resource out of the game. And so there is certainly some cutthroatness to the game, right? Because I'm taking what I want and then, you need cactus over there? Well, sorry, goodbye cactus. Cactus is now out of this round. And so you could certainly screw over some people based on what you're burning throughout the game. Then you are using the things that you collected, the resources you collected. You're using it to feed your nestlings. You're using it to put down little biome slivers, which will get you special abilities and endgame points. You're using it to complete objective cards, all of that sort of stuff. So you want different resources for specific things. It looks really good. The artwork and the style of the game is very attractive on the table. I love the color scheme and the look of it out there. And so if you like dice placement, if you like area control with a little bit of cutthroatness, then check out Nestlings. McMiller Games is releasing the game The Cat Mitt Game. This one is in Barnes & Noble, so if you're looking for it, check for it in Barnes & Noble. It is one of the dumbest, silliest games out there, and I mean that in a good way. I love a, midweight Euro game, but I also love nights of just dumb silliness, and I actually played the Cat Mitt Game with some friends the other night. They actually did a post about it afterwards, where they said, Grant's a real wild card. Sometimes he'll bring a heavy Euro, and sometimes he'll bring this. And this is a game where you have to put on mittens and then bop a cat toy around trying to get treats to fall out of the cat toy. It's not that easy to get this stuff out of it. So you're like stressful trying to knock this stuff out of it. Meanwhile, the player next to you is rolling dice. And if they ever roll 2 meows, if the dice each have a meow and a meow on it, they yell meow meow and they take the mittens and the cat toy from you, and then they start trying to do it. And when something falls out of the cat toy, you are then moving that treat onto your little player board, and you are trying to match a pattern in the center. There's one card in the center that has a pattern, and the first person can match that pattern with their 5 treats that they got out of the cat toy wins the game. And there is literally nothing more to it. There is no strategy in this game. There is just a lot of laughter and a lot of silliness watching someone frantically bop a cat toy around and getting frustrated when they can't get anything out. They're like, why is this not working? And it's like, well, you can be better at bopping cat toys around. You know? Mighty Boards is releasing the game Fateforge Chronicles of Kaan. This is a game that plays, I don't think I should have said, the Cat Mitt Game plays 2 to 6 players and plays in, 20 to 30 minutes. Back to Fateforge Chronicles of Kaan. Plays 1 to 4 players in about 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. It is a storytelling sort of adventure exploration game. It runs off of an app. An app is there's a physical element. There's a bunch of board game here, but it does require an app to move the story forward, to help with the world building, all that sort of stuff. So know that you do need an app in the game. If you like RPGs, this is an RPG style board game, right? It's heavy on the story and the choices and things like that, just like an RPG would be. It offers meaningful narrative choices, action-packed combat scenes. Those are at the heart of the game, and you're going to take on the role of a hero, and you're going to be working together. It is a cooperative game, where you are just getting immersed into this world of Fateforge Chronicles of Kaan. So if you like cooperative adventure games, if you want to be part of a party that's moving around a map and a board and stuff like that, and discovering different things, discovering plot twists and fights and all that sort of stuff, then Fateforge might be for you. You do need to be okay with an app in your game, but I think more and more gamers are becoming okay with apps in games. I feel like I was one of the ones that, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I was like, no, board games are my chance to get away from technology. But then you start realizing that, this can also really, open up the world of a game more than, I don't want to just sit there and read a story the whole time. If I have an app that's running the whole thing, then it makes the barrier to entry to get into a story game like this a lot easier. And it just, you can do some cool things with an app that you can't do with physical pieces. I don't want games to get rid of physical pieces, but when an app can sort of support it, I think that's great. North Star Games is releasing the game Biomos. This plays 1 to 4 players in about 20 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. It is a smaller box game, and thematically it is a nature game where you are developing a planet for biodiversity and life. It's an interesting looking board. The board has this sort of swoop in it, and you are going to be placing these little tokens in your swoop. I guarantee swoop is not the official word for whatever that is, but it's like, it's a little half moon or whatever. But you are taking these little tokens, adding them to your swoop, and then trying to match pattern cards. If you can get tokens in the right order, the right colors to match a pattern card, you're going to gain that pattern card for points. There are some pattern cards that are less points, some pattern cards that are more points, and so do you want to get a bunch of smaller ones for less points? Do you want to try to build up to one of these bigger ones? That sort of stuff. So it does have a solo mode in it, and it also has a family mode if you want to make it even easier for kids and stuff like that. They say it plays age 8 and up. I'm assuming that if you play with the family mode, you can make it even simpler because the game is already a lightweight game. So if you like nature games, if you like puzzle games, about matching patterns and getting stuff in the right places, then Biomos is a quick playing one that seems cool. Office Dog Games is releasing the game River of Gold. This plays 2 to 4 players in about 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. I have had a chance to play this one a bunch. I do a video on my top 5 games of the month every month, and I put River of Gold as my #1 game of July because I like it a lot. It is sort of right in my wheelhouse in that it is a medium weight game but it plays in like an hour. Every turn is quick. Like there's not a lot of analysis paralysis in the game. You know, I love a game where just turns are snappy. And there's a lot of interesting choices in River of Gold, but it just still always maintains that sort of snappy pace around the table. On your turn, you can do one thing, which is why it moves quickly, partly. You can build a building along the river, and building a building along the river is going to get you certain benefits. It's also going to help you move up on these different tracks. Tracks are going to get you benefits, but one of the interesting things about every building is there are two sides of the building. There are sides that you get if you land on that building, and something that the owner of the building gets. Because the second thing you can do on your turn is sailing your ships down the river. When you stop on a spot, you're going to get a bunch of benefits. But if someone owns the building there, they're also going to get a benefit, which is fun. And then you're going to use, the third thing you can do on your turn, you're going to use resources to complete cards, and those cards are going to get you special abilities. Sometimes they're one-time special abilities, but oftentimes they're endgame, you know, the special abilities that happen throughout the game and that get you endgame scoring and stuff like that. So, yeah, River of Gold, if you want a strategic game that plays quickly and stuff like that, I really like River of Gold for that reason. It's a mid-weight Euro, but a mid-weight Euro that plays in 60 minutes, and I don't think there's a lot of mid-weight Euros that play that quickly, that have that snappy of turns. It also is gorgeous. You know, it's just a really pretty game. The insert kind of sucks, but, you know, that's the only bad thing about it in my mind. Prolific Games is releasing the game Jewels for the Emperor Penguin. This plays 2 to 5 players in 30 to 45 minutes, and it is a, you know, lighter weight game, but maybe on the higher end of lighter weight games. I actually made a video for their campaign, I think it was like the end of last year, and I really liked the game. It's, as a family weight game, this was one of my favorite family weight games that I've checked out in a little while. I actually brought it home over the holidays, the prototype of it, and played it with my family, and my dad, who is like famously slow to pick up games, loved Jewels for the Emperor Penguin, so that was a real win for me, and we got to play it multiple times with him. He wanted to play it a bunch. And so in Jewels for the Emperor Penguin, you have dice, and those dice have numbers on it that associate with your penguins. You have 5 different penguins, and you are going to be using a dice to activate that number penguin and move that penguin up tiles on the board. And the higher you get with those penguins, the better the benefits on the tiles. And you're going to get a bonus for arriving on the tile, you're going to get a bonus for being on the tile, like that sort of stuff. And those not really bonus, I guess is the bad word. You're going to get stuff. You're going to get resources, and oftentimes those resources are different types of jewels, and you're going to use those jewels to fulfill cards to get points. And, you know, the harder to get jewels are at the top of the board. One of the most fun things about the game is you can create a bump chain of your penguins. One penguin is the smallest penguin. He's just a little guy. He can't move anything else. But any number penguin that is bigger than him can move on to his tile and bump him up. And so you can do a thing where you're like, ooh, I can activate my 4. I'm going to move my 4 here. That's going to bump my 2 here, which is going to bump my 1 here. And I get the stuff of the 1 all up at the top. And so it's fun to create those bump chains, you know? Penguins, just they love bump chains, is what I've learned from this game. So, yeah, that's just one of my favorite. It's like an addicting little thing aspect of the game that's super fun. So, it, you know, again, plays pretty quickly, and if my dad could pick it up, anybody could. So, check out Jewels for the Emperor Penguin. Rabble is releasing the game Lovestruck. This is a social deduction party-ish game, but maybe a little bit more strategy than some party games. Plays 5 to 10 players in 45 to 90 minutes. The best thing about it, the thing that stands out the most about it, is the theme of the game. You are playing as people trying to find love on reality TV. And where the social deduction comes in, where the hidden roles of the game comes in, is there are some people that are going to be there for the right reasons because they want to find love, and some people that are there for the wrong reasons. They're trying to get famous. They're trying to get money. They're trying to do all the things, that plenty of people do on dating shows, which is not really the point of the dating shows. And so you are going on dates with different people and coupling up and stuff like that, but you are trying to end the game with, somebody. If you're actually looking for love, you don't want to end the game matched with somebody who's there for the wrong reasons, right? They just broke up with you 6 months after the show ended because you ain't making them famous anymore. And so you are just trying to figure out who's who and pair up with the right people. And so in that way that different people can win the game based on whether they achieve their objective or not. Maybe somebody that was wanted fame doesn't want to end up with somebody else who's looking for fame because they're going to be competing for fame against each other. And so that's not something they want. And so you're just kind of trying to figure out who's who and date through the game and end up with the right person to fulfill your objectives. Next up, Spin Master and Arcane Wonders are releasing the game Comic Hunters. This plays 1 to 4 players in about 60 minutes, and it is a lighter medium weight game. In the game, it's themed to comic books. You are trying to get rare and valuable comic books. You are trying to collect comic books and build up your comic book collection. So I think that's probably a lot of things board gamers can relate to. That's something that probably a lot of us did when we were growing up, or still do now. It is a drafting game at its core, but the way you're doing the drafting is a little bit different because there are 4 different locations that you can sort of get comic books, and you are drafting in different ways for those different locations. You're getting comic books from conventions, you're getting them from comic book stores, you're getting them from flea markets, stuff like that. And then when you get them, you're doing a set collection thing with the cards. You're building different sets of comic book types and characters and that sort of thing. So if you like card drafting, if you like set collection, or if you love comic books, then Comic Hunters is probably for you. The Op is releasing the game Gnome Hollow. Gnome Hollow plays 2 to 4 players in about 45 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game, though on the lighter side of medium weight. Gnome Hollow is a great welcoming strategy game. It is a game that is adorable in its artwork, is cute in its theme, and accessible enough in its strategy that I feel like you can teach it to newer people, but there's a lot of interesting choices still in the game. Thematically, you are building mushroom rings, paying those mushrooms, selling those mushrooms at the market, and, being cute little gnomes. One of the interesting things about the market that you're doing is when someone sells a type of mushroom at the market, that is no longer available. You are basically blocking off that spot for the rest of the game, and now you either need to sell a different mushroom type or you need to sell more or less of those mushrooms to get points. It's a tile laying game, a little bit reminiscent of like a Carcassonne or something like that, where you are putting tiles down to build these rings, and when you close a ring, you get mushrooms, and then you also get special bonuses on your board. And all of the little pieces on your board are magnetic, and I love magnets. Magnets, dog, how do they work? It's just... they're just so great in games. It's so fun when they get used. I'm addicted to magnets in board games for sure. I don't care how good this game it is. It's got a magnetic component. I'm in. You jerk, I'm in. The Op is also releasing Flip 7, which is a very lightweight card game. Plays 3 to 99 players. Though I will say in the rulebook they say if you're playing with more than 18 players, you should probably have a second deck. Because that's all the game is. It is just a deck of cards. It is a lightweight game, plays in, 15 minutes, something like that. It is a push your luck game in the same vein as blackjack. You are hitting, but you are trying not to get the same number card in front of you. If you get 2 10s, you bust. You're out of here. And so if you can get 7 cards, which is why it's called Flip 7, if you get 7 cards and you don't have a duplicate, you immediately end the round, score bonus points, and all that sort of good stuff. So you want to try to hit 7 cards if you can, but it's not that easy. One of the other interesting things about the deck of cards is there are 12 12s in the game. There are 11 11s. There are 10 10s. So while those cards get you more points, they also increase your chances of busting. And it's, just a really silly push your luck card game. There's not a ton of strategy here, but there is a ton of big emotional moments. I have played this with people, I have watched it being played, and there's always cheers and sobs and things like that. You can see when someone's like, oh, hit me, and you're like, yeah! I love a game that has big emotional reactions like that, and Flip 7 definitely does. Thunderworks Games is releasing the game Metrorunner. Metrorunner plays 1 to 5 players in 30 to 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. It is a rondel around the board, and as you are getting to different spots on the rondel, you're getting resources or getting actions, things like that. And then you are using the resources, the cubes you get, to fulfill cards. And when you fulfill cards, you get to slot them under your board and they give you special abilities. So there's an engine building aspect to the game as well. As you complete certain cards, then you get special abilities moving forward. One of the other interesting things about the game is there is a little tile puzzle at the center of the game, and you can use actions to sort of move tiles around to create pathways. You go, oh, I'm going to switch these 2 tiles, or I'm going to slide this one up, and you can create pathways, and if you can create a pathway to match something, then you're going to get bonuses and points and stuff like that. So it's an interesting little spatial puzzle at the center of the game. It is a real, sort of cyberpunk, futuristic look to the game. It doesn't fit into a Thunderworks typical game that's kind of a little bit more high fantasy. This is bright colors. It looks really good on the table for sure. The colors and the look and the art and stuff in the game is awesome. So if you like resource management, if you like engine building, then Metrorunner might be for you. Unexpected Games is releasing The Mandalorian Adventures. This plays 1 to 4 players in 30 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. It is a cooperative game, so if you like cooperative adventure games, then this one might be for you. It is really theme and Mandalorian forward. So, if you like The Mandalorian TV show, then you're going to like this game. You are going through different adventures that sort of mirror the things that he does in the TV show. There are different maps. You can flip a book and it has different maps on it, and it's going to set up a scenario and you have to accomplish some objectives and explore and beat some challenges and all that sort of stuff. So you've got to navigate unique maps and missions. And so there's a bunch of different missions in the game, so there is, some replayability in that respect. There are 8 characters in the game that you can play as, all from the TV show, The Mandalorian. And yeah, again, it's if you like story, if you like adventure, if you like The Mandalorian, then The Mandalorian Adventures might be for you. Van Ryder Games is releasing Gateway Island. This plays 1 to 12 players in 15 to 45 minutes, and it is a, sort of higher end of a lightweight game. The unique thing about Gateway Island is there's actually 21 mini games in the game Gateway Island, and each of those mini games is intended to teach you about a major board game mechanism. So if you want to get new people into board games and you use all this jargon and you don't want to explain it, show them with this game. I think this is a great game for anybody new to the board game hobby to have in their collection, because you can really discover what you like by actually playing it. You know, you've got worker placement, you've got engine building, you've got area control, you've got drafting, you've got all of the different sort of things we talk about in board games a lot. There's a game, a little mini game representing that mechanism, and what a great way, you know, you play through all 21 of them and you go, wow, these are the 5 mechanisms I think I like the most. Let me search out more games of those types of mechanisms. I just think it's really, this is a game I'm glad that exists just for the sake of the hobby, right? I feel like this is a great gift. You know, if you have a friend that's like, you know, how often do you have game nights? I've been thinking about it, but I'm a little intimidated. Like, give them this and they can sort of explore what they want to get more into, and then you can invite them to the right game nights and that sort of stuff. I just think it's going to be a great thing to help get new people into the board game hobby for sure. So yeah, there we go. That was 28 games that are hitting retail in the month of August. And as always, retail means, you know, big box stores. Sometimes it means friendly local game stores. It means online marketplaces. It means publishers' websites. Basically, any way that you can go get the games, you know, easily and immediately. As I mentioned, there are over 40 games that I confirmed this month that aren't in this video, so there's a lot more to check out. If you want to see my list and see that sort of stuff, you can check out my Patreon, patreon.com/GrantsGameRex. You know, I'll be at some upcoming things. I'll be at the World Series of Board Gaming. If you want to, you know, be competitive with your board games, I've got a discount code where you can join for the World Series of Board Games and you know, get a cheaper ticket to be in a competition. They've got a ton of events there as well. I'll be doing my comedy show at the World Series of Board Games. So even if you don't want to like be part of the competition, you could still come. There's a bunch of open gaming. There's sort of some peripheral tournaments, like one-off tournaments, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be a good time in the end of September. So I hope you found something that you liked here. As always, you know, I try to include different types of stuff in the video so everybody can find something that they're excited about. All right, thanks so much for being here. I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex.